Hey everybody, Brian Cain here. And what we're discussing today is personal responsibility in daily excellence, or what I call pride. Personal responsibility in daily excellence. And when you're talking about becoming a high-level achiever, as an athlete, as someone in business, as a student, as a person in general, I believe that there are some principles that are consistent across the board. Whether you're talking about an Olympic athlete, a UFC world champion, a college baseball team, a college hockey team, a high school athlete, or someone in the corporate world, or just your everyday student who's looking to be the best that they can be, I believe there are a lot of fundamental principles which are consistent across the board. And in this program, we're going to talk about all those principles. We're going to talk about how you as a coach, or you as a person, or a player, can adapt those things, work on those things, so that you can achieve excellence. So let's first define excellence. Excellence is being your best when it means the most, which is every single day. Now, if you're a baseball player, it's being the best when it means the most, which is every single pitch. Being your best when it means the most, every single pitch. Football, being your best when it means the most, every single down. If you're a student, being your best when it means the most, every single class. And having routines and things that you can do to get you there. Now you have this poster, which has our 15 principles, 15 blocks of making it up that mountain. Well, what we're going to focus on today in this lesson is just this peripheral, the outside, the main concepts of what we're trying to achieve. Again, achieving excellence is being your best when it means the most, which is every single day. Hence, the title of this mountain, or this peak that we're trying to get to, is pride, your personal responsibility in daily excellence, in the daily pursuit of excellence. So what can you do today to help you get better? I mean, everyone knows, I hope, where you're trying to go, right? We know where the top of that mountain is. It might be being the best peak performance coach in the world. It might be winning a national championship, winning a World Series, winning a state championship, getting into the college of my choice, getting that deal, whatever it is. You have that outcome goal. You know where you want to go. And what I'm going to give you is that missing link, the process, the road of what you need to do from a psychological perspective or a peak performance perspective as to how to get there. So if we look at this mountain, down in the bottom right corner, you see there's a flag. And that flag says today, because that's where we are, today. And we know we're trying to get to the top of that mountain, but there are some fundamental things along the way that I think you have to buy into, some things that you have to do, that if you don't do, everything else is going to fall apart. And the first thing is establishing core covenants. Well, what's a covenant? A covenant is a binding pact or agreement that other people and yourself commit to. So I think you have to identify what are your core covenants, and not necessarily core covenants for your life. I mean, we all know, the things that we want to accomplish and how we want to be remembered. And you've heard me use the example of making today your banquet and talking about who are you and what do you want to become? How do you want to be known? But I think sometimes when you look at core covenants over the span of a lifetime, it looks very difficult. It's difficult to have integrity for your entire life. It's difficult to be responsible for your entire life, have discipline for your entire life. I think when you look that way, you could be setting yourself up for failure. So let's look at what are your goals, what are your core covenants for this week or this month, and can you do it today? So we look at, let's say it's December. Okay, one of my core covenants for December is going to be discipline. My core covenant for this month is discipline. So what I'm working on this month is discipline. Now, how do I define discipline? Right? What does discipline look like in the different aspects of my life? So if I'm an athlete or a coach, what does discipline look like in games, in practice, in school, in the community? How do I identify what does that look like? So if I come into your program not knowing anything, and you say, hey, one of our core covenants for this month is December, right? We teach those, break those things down into month by month. It's a little bit more manageable. And I say, okay, well, I'm going to look at you in practice. Is everyone there on time? That's an example of discipline. Is everyone wearing what they're supposed to be wearing so they look uniform? That's an example of discipline. If I walk by your student athletes in class, are they sitting in that learning T, the front row, middle row, so they have eye contact with the professor so that the knowledge and retention and learning goes up dramatically without having to do anything else, because you're going to pay attention more based off of where you're sitting because of where the professor is or the teacher is? That's an example of discipline. I go in the cafeteria. Are you drinking water or soda? That's an example of discipline. So establishing what are your core covenants. I would say focus on one, but if you want to take 1 to 3, you can do that as well. I don't think any more than 3, that might be too much for the month. Give yourself that narrow focus that if I can develop these skills, if I can focus on discipline for the 30 days of December, the 31 days of December, I'm probably going to have a real good chance at continuing to have that discipline beyond December into January, February. So establishing what are some of those real important goals or core covenants that you want to establish. Also, self-control. Realize that you have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance, regardless of your activity. You have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance, regardless of your sport or activity. So really, setting a core covenant or setting a goal that I will be in control of myself with everything that goes on. And there's classic examples of athletes and people who have had to stay in control of themselves. Jackie Robinson and what he went through when he was breaking the color barrier into Major League Baseball, and the death threats and the racial threats and all those things that came with that. Always stayed in control of himself. You look at Viktor Frankl in his great book, Man's Search for Meaning. Highly recommend that you read that. It's a short read, and it talks about a man and his ability to survive the concentration camps in Nazi Germany, and the approach from a mental state that he took to find meaning in every day. Self-control. You could take everything away, but you couldn't take away the fact that you can control your mind. Yet I see all the time athletes who break down. Umpire makes a bad call. Ref makes a bad call. Coach doesn't put you in the starting lineup. You're not getting the playing time you want. And what do? You complain. You stab people in the back. And you do things that are going to be a team breaker instead of a team builder. Right? You're that drain that sucks other people down instead of being that fountain that's uplifting. So when you don't get what you want, instead of complaining, start working and find out, what do I need to do to get what I want? But a lot of that comes down to self-control, physical self-control, and really emotional and mental self-control. Also talk about awareness and what I call ATW, awareness to win. And how do you develop self-awareness? Because a person who is aware can change things. Someone who's not aware will be stuck into that rut of continuing to do the same thing. And we all know the definition of insanity, right? Continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So remember, what you're aware of, you can control, you can change. What you're unaware of is going to control you. So we got to develop that concept of awareness. If I'm aware that I have poor body language when I make a mistake or when things aren't going my way, I can fake it and I can change that body language, I can fix it. If I'm unaware I have bad body language, I'm unaware I don't have a great work ethic because I haven't seen someone who has a much better work ethic that I should strive to be more like, then I'm not going to know to change. You see, we don't know what we don't know. And that's one of the key principles of peak performers, is they surround themselves with the best of the best. I've had the very fortunate experience knowing guys like Ken Ravizza, Dr. Rob Gilbert, Harvey Dorfman, working with, in the sports psychology field, the best of the best, working with college programs, Vanderbilt University and Tim Corbin, Texas Christian University, Cal State Fullerton with George Horton, Rick Vanderhook, Dave Serrano. Some of the best in college baseball. University of Vermont hockey team, George St. Pierre, Rich Franklin of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, 2 world champions. Understanding what they do. Surrounding yourself with people who are way better than you are, so that you can learn what they can do. You learn how they work. You learn what they think, and you try to follow. You see, success leaves clues. So you got to find those mentors. And I can't tell you the number of coaches, the best coaches in the world. They usually once every year will take 3 or 4 days and go to another program and watch and learn. They put their ego aside and they go learn. Yet unfortunately, there's a lot of coaches, for whatever reason, maybe they think they have all the answers, I don't know. They don't, or they just schedule-wise, they can't fit it in, but we all use time, excuse-itis. We all use time as an excuse. Every single one of us has 86,400 seconds in a day. You choose how you want to invest it. I'm going to invest it in getting better. I'm going to invest it in finding someone who's better than me, finding who's the best of the best, and going to sit there and be a sponge and see what I can learn. And that's what I'm trying to deliver to you here with this program, is what do the best of the best do, and how can you do that to try to get to those levels of performance? You see, success leaves clues. You want to be a millionaire? Go hang out with people that are millionaires. If you hang out with people who are making $50,000 a year and you tell them you want to make $1 million a year, what are they going to do? They're going to laugh at you because they don't see it as a reality. But you go sit and hang out with people who make $1 million a year and you can get some ideas as to how to make your first million. So again, just an example, surround yourself with people who are excellent. I remember when I was a high school student, not a great student, not a smart person even to this day. But I knew I needed to get better and do better academically, so I surrounded myself with a couple people, friends of mine, who succeeded academically. And what did I do? I started going to the library with them. I didn't feel like going to the library, but I went and I started to see what they did for study habits. I started to learn. I started to do what they did, and I started to get better results. So it's all about finding that formula and finding that process to help you be successful, but a lot of that comes back to A, self-awareness and knowing that I need to make a change, because again, you don't know what you don't know. So 3 rules of a mental game. Let's throw these out there right now because we're constantly going to come back to them in the different lessons. Rule 1, you have to be in control of yourself before you can control your performance. And rule 2, you have very little control of what goes on around you, but total control of how you choose to respond to it. And both of those come from my good friend and mentor, Dr. Ken Ravizza, in his groundbreaking book, Heads Up Baseball. I don't care what sport you play. Especially if you play baseball, softball, you got to get it. But if you do anything, I use this as a textbook when I teach sports psychology at the University of Vermont. Get the book Heads Up Baseball. It's phenomenal. Everything that is in that book is very easily transferable to other sports and to life. First book I ever bought, first book I ever read cover to cover, and it's changed my life, and I think it will help you as well. Heads Up Baseball. So rule 3. What you're aware of, you can control. What you're unaware of is going to control you. What you're aware of, you can control and you can change. What you're unaware of is going to control you. So we've got to develop that ATW. Got to develop a better sense of what's going on around us, what's going on inside of us. There's my dog saying hello. It's okay. We're going to leave that in there because she's an important part of the mix. Peak performance dog. She can bark on command. Now anyway, so we're going to continue here. Talking about daily goal setting and evaluation, time management. Right? You got to take advantage of your time, or your time's going to take advantage of you. You got to find different ways to make time work for you. You got to set those daily goals. What am I working on today? You see, right behind me, behind this white door, is my bathroom. And on my bathroom mirror, I pull out a dry erase marker, and on that mirror, I'm writing down what are my goals. I write down my goals on that mirror. Now I'm going to show you some photographs of mirrors from athletes I've worked with at the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Also show you an athlete that's in the Los Angeles Dodgers organization and the goals that they have on their board, on their mirror, or taped around their mirror so that they see them every day. So again, when we talk about core covenants or we talk about daily goal setting, it's what are you doing today to help you get one step closer towards your goal or where you want to end up. So what are you doing today to help you get to the top of that mountain? Because climbing the mountain of success is something that we do 200 feet at a time. 200 feet at a time. And that's enough for today. Our next lesson is going to be, well, what do you mean when you say 200 feet at a time? So remember, take the personal responsibility and daily excellence. Come up with a core covenant. How do you want to be remembered? Who are you going to be? What is it going to look like in school, in community, in practice, in games? Share that with each other, amongst your group. Figure out what is our team core covenant, and then maybe what are my individual core covenants. And then dedicate just this 1 month to working on those things. Because we all know it takes roughly 25 to 30 days to create a habit. And if you focus on being more disciplined, or having a better work ethic, or being more nutritionally sound, and you do that each day for 1 month, generally that's going to carry with you over the course of the rest of the year. So don't wait. Let's get started. Let's do it now. And as you see here, remember this. Don't wait. Don't wait. I take out the NT and the WA, and what do I get? Do it. So don't wait, do it, get started. We'll be talking to you soon. This is Brian Cain, helping you achieve success and climb that mountain of excellence 200 feet at a time. Talking to you next time.